touch to pull me through. I've waited all my life for you. I need your touch to pull me through. To pull me through. To pull me through. To pull me through. Hey, tell me that you need me. Tell me that you'll never leave me. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you'll never leave me. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you'll never leave me. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you never leave me.
Yo guys, welcome back. Today will be our first of many build guides coming. We will be revisiting many of our descendants from now until Season 3 launches on August 7th. We will start with Gley, who just received very generous buffs. In my opinion, this puts her the closest to being in line with Serena and Nez, being our third strongest descendant. Let's take a look at those buffs. In her frenzy state, she is now getting a 30% firearm attack increase and a 50% explosive attack increase. Huge. On top of this, when using her increased sensory skill for infinite ammo, the movement speed penalty has been removed, and added on is the weak point damage increase of 10% and the critical hit damage increase of 10%. But on top of all this, although this mod is only used for certain situations, being mostly a Colossus that you can pre-fire with the last Dagger, and this is going to be her best setup for most Colossus, this is a very good buff, bringing the firearm attack bonus with level 2 up to 42%. Although this also does work for Restored Relic, I would not suggest it for any situation because of the ramp-up time. If you guys are interested in seeing builds like these put together live, we are on Twitch every day. Link is in the description. We're always farming, grinding, working on builds, just having a great time. The turnout for the dev stream was insane. Had such a great time. Hope to see more of you there, and I thank everyone very, very much. With that out of the way, let's get into it. First thing we're going to cover is going to be how Gley works. Basically, this will be for newer players. So her first skill is Frenzied. In Frenzy state, increases firearm attack and penetration, but reduces HP recovery. And this also affects how your other skills work, as they have a frenzied state and a non-frenzied state. We are mostly focusing on what they do in the frenzied state. So your main thing with Gley is if you're doing anything, you do want to be in the frenzied state. Now, her second ability, which is going to be dependent on the red mod we have in, which right now is Massive Sanctification. This is a decent AoE mobbing skill. Not great. There's another one also. It's going to be Explosive Life. Also decent, but not great. We will not be covering either of those. The reason we have Massive Sanctification right now is with some builds, we're going to want to drain our HP. This is a very, very good way to do that. And up next, we have what makes Gley so great, and that is Increased Sensory. This is going to give her no ammo consumption for the duration of how long this is up. The main thing here is you want to be able to loop this. So you always want your cooldown to be shorter than your duration, so you can constantly be using this when it is out, and then you never have to worry about ammo. This is her bread and butter. And then we have Massacre, which is her unique weapon, which is a very, very good build for Ice Maiden right now. Also a good Colossus killer build, but her gun builds is going to say she really shines nowadays, mobbing and bossing. So first, let's go over how her Massacre, your pre-setup basically. You're going to go into Frenzy, then you're going to use your 2, which we are using Massive Sanctification. This is a must. This is how we will be able to use our unique weapon. And now, as you can see, we are able to use our 4th ability. We will cast her Massacre. And the key here is to use Increased Sensory, shoot. Then you want to make sure that you do not use those 3 bullets. So as soon as Increased Sensory is gone, we will recast it. And we are now on her Firearm build, so we will not be using Massacre here. This is going to be go in your Frenzy, use Increased Sensory, and shoot. And as I was talking, we do have Predator Instinct on with this build. And as you can see, it procs it very well. So this is what you'll be doing pre-Colossus. And then once the Colossus spawns, you should have your 2 stacks, your Mental Focus, and Colossus dead. And very similarly, we'll just go over quickly. It's the same thing. This will be our Purge or our Mobbing with AoE, with Restored Relic. There is skill builds, but to me, waste of time and just a damage loss trying to use those. Frenzied, Increased Sensory, and Blaster Restored Relic, all you want. So since we are already on the Purge build, we will begin with that. Probably going to be the most popular build for her right now, I think. Right behind Inez and Serena, I would put Gley when running Purge. Great option. This is going to be based on Restored Relic, and this is also going to be great for general mobbing all around the game. Starting with her mod setup, we're going to have 2 focus mods, MP conversion, nimble fingers for our cooldown. Then we're going to have maximized duration with skill extension for our duration. And this is going to ensure that we have max duration for increased sensory and great cooldown so we can cast it whenever we want. No, you do not need all that cooldown because of the duration, but I like to run it just so I can cast increased sensory whenever I need. Then we're running 2 HP mods with increased HP and Battle of Stamina for that little extra duration. And we have Shot Focus. Although this does not affect the Restored Relic, we will be using Last Dagger sometimes. So we just slot this in, and then we have Walk a Tightrope. If you do not want to walk a tightrope, you could simply slot something for survivability here, like HP Collector. Now, moving on to our reactor, we are not using any skill power here for damage, so our mounting does not matter. Our skill power boost ratio does not matter. You just use something with cooldown and duration up for looping your increased sensory. And then for our set, we are running the Firebrand set for the duration. If you do not have this, you can run the Annihilation set for the duration. And then we are running the 2-piece Shell Crusher for the 5% fire rate. Now, for our Arche Tuning, which is tuned mostly for the Restored Relic here, we are building into multi-hit, and then we are building into Firearm attack. We do have some Overwhelm here. That is mostly going to benefit you in Purge 10 now. We do not run a mutant cell. There is not a mutant cell here that benefits her. Now, as far as our inversion reinforcement, you're going to be, of course, picking the focus rounds that match the activity you're doing. So if we're doing Purge 10, we're going to have chill focus rounds. We are going to select selective cellular stimulation for a great heal. Another option is going to be biodensity augmentation for more HP when you kill enemies. Great survivability option. And another great option here is going to be adrenaline rush for the movement speed when defeating enemies. Very, very good option. So I would say you can swap between these two and see which ones you like better. And moving on to our weapons, Restored Relic here is going to be your best friend for her with mobbing. You want triple fire rate, and then the 2 elements that are going to match what you're doing, and explosive attack, multi-hit damage, multi-hit chance, and then the element that matches the activity that you were doing. Same thing for here. This is going to be basically the setup. The only things you will change, if you want, is to slot the element that you would like for the activity that you'll be running. And then on to our last dagger. Once again, 1 element in the free slot, 2 firearm attacks, 2 fire rates for your substats, firearm attack, critical hit rate, critical hit damage, and weak point damage. Now for Gley, her dagger is going to be a little different. We are going to run mental focus because she is able to build that up like nobody else can. We have our 2 weak point mods, our 2 critical hit damage mods, our action reaction, fire rate up. Overwhelm is specifically going to be for Legion of Darkness with this weapon. If you would like, you can use Ultra Precision Strike in place of that for an all-around build, or you could go with Rifling Reinforcement in place of that if you're not comfortable with your weak point aiming. Now, let's move on to our gun build for Colossus fights. We will be covering a few guns here, so bear with me. I will do my best to keep everything organized. As far as the build, we are going to use Predator Instinct for Last Dagger. Other than that, we will take this mod off. Now, for our setup, once again, 2 focus mods, MP conversion, nimble fingers, 2 duration mods, Battle of Stamina, Shot Focus. Here, we are using conditional recharge to drain our health with Walk a Tightrope. If you are in an activity where you do not feel comfortable draining your health that much, simply swap conditional recharge for Stim Accelerate. For HP, increased HP. Once again, with our reactor, cooldown duration up. We are not doing skill damage. We do not need to worry about skill power boost or our mounting. And we're going to be running the same components we ran on the mobbing build with 2 Firebrand and 2 Shell Crushers. Now, for our Arche Tuning, this is going to be your Firearm focus setup. So nothing to do with multi-hit here. If we are going to be switching to multi-hit weapon, say Restored Relic or Python, we will then use the Purge setup from earlier from the mobbing build. Now for your inversion reinforcement, of course, you want your focus rounds that match the activity you're doing. I would highly suggest in a Colossus fight to put Void Resistance on, and I would not take an HP heal if you're going for a low health damage build, for a quick kill speedrun build. But if you are not and you want to survive, if you're in a bit of difficult activity, maybe you're helping people, then simply just pick this to give you your HP. And also, one side note, for this build, I do not have my fellow summoned. I do not need ammo, and I do not want the one that heals me either, so there's no fellow. But if you're going to summon one, of course you do not need ammo with her, so I would pick the one that would heal you. Now, let's start up with our weapons, and we're going to have Last Dagger up first. Probably her best bossing weapon here. You're going to want your element, your 2 firearm attack with your 2 fire rate, and then your substats are going to be the same for all your Last Daggers: firearm attack, firearm critical hit damage, firearm critical hit rate, and weak point damage. Now, moving into our mods, we are using Mental Focus with Gley, with Ultra Precision Strike. We have our 2 critical hit damage mods and our 2 weak point mods. Action Reaction with fire rate up, and your last 2 slots are going to be for your element mods. So if we're doing an activity that is weak to fire, we will simply slot in our 2 fire element mods. Next up, we have our Restored Relic. This is the same Restored Relic that I am running in the mobbing setup when it comes to the substats and the cores. But as far as our mods, it is going to be a little different, as we're going with a conductor mod and a circulation mod on top of our 2 element mods, being fire enhancement and fire priority. And this is similar if you're doing an activity with a different element, just simply swap these. Next, we have Greg's, which is a very, very disgusting weapon with her. We have triple fire rate with firearm attack, weak point damage, firearm attack, firearm critical hit damage, and then of course the element matching our activity if we can. And as far as the setup, we're doing Mental Focus. We have 2 firearm attack mods. We are building into crit here, as the bombardments can crit, and we are building into weak point, since the bombardments scale to the weak point hits. And we are using Mental Focus because we are able to take advantage of holding down the trigger and then stacking this up. And then we are using 1 elemental mod. Now, let's get into our Massacre setup. This is going to be very good in Ice Maiden right now. The normal Ice Maiden, not the challenge. You can get sub 1 minute kills with this. This is a very good setup, and of course can kill every other Colossus in the game as well. This is going to be with Massive Sanguification. Massive Sanguification is going to be used before the fight, so we can cast our Massacre ability. Now, as far as our module setup, we are going with 1 focus mod here, not 2, so we can get the added damage, but we're still using Epic Conversion and Nimble Fingers. Of course, the key here is to make sure we can get our loop, so we have a 7.6 second cooldown with an 8.8 second duration. So, since we are not running the 2 focus mods, we are then able to slot in Dimension Amplification, Non-Attribute Amplification, we're using Skill Simplification. Then we have our 2 duration mods with Maximize Duration and Skill Extension, Stim Accelerant for our HP, because you will get hit here and you most likely will die, and then Walk a Tightrope. Now, for our Reactor, mounting does matter, and so does skill power boost ratio, as now we are doing skill power damage. So you're going to want to make sure that your submachine gun is mounted. We are using Python here, and then your skill power boost ratio match with non-attribute and dimension. Now, for your substats, you're going to go with cooldown and additional skill attack when attacking Colossus. Now, as far as our set here, we are using the Enlightened Mage 4-piece set. This is going to give us a 6% skill power and is also going to give us a huge non-attribute skill power buff with 84%. And you are able to keep this up throughout the fight simply because we are using increased sensory basically every 8 seconds. As far as our Arche Tuning, this will be the 1 build for Gley that we are using a mutant cell with, and it's going to be Final Preparations. When attacking enemies with the forward skill, grants Final Preparations itself. Duration is 15 seconds, 9.5% skill power. And other than that, we are building into skill power here, and we are taking the cooldown node so we can keep our increased sensory up. Now, for our inversion reinforcement, it's very important here that we are picking fire focus rounds. We are then going to make sure we pick selective cellular stimulation, as this can save your life very much. And then we're going to pick void resistance for the incoming damage modifier of negative 16.5%. Now, let's move on to our Python. Now here, your cores do not matter. I do have it cored because I use this gun for other things. Your important things here are your substats. They do transfer over to your 4th weapon. And you're going to want to go with firearm attack, weak point damage, firearm critical hit damage, and I do have rounds per magazine here because I use this weapon for Freyna, but if not, I would roll this to fire attack to match Ice Maiden's weakness. Now, moving on to our mods, this is going to be a sharp precision shot build. We have 3 firearm attack mods, 2 weak point mods, and then we have fire rate up, and of course our 2 element mods with fire enhancement and fire priority. This build is viable for all Colossus in the game. Let me repeat that. Just simply change the element to what you're fighting, and then you see better concentration here because we do crit with Python. It has a 20% crit chance at base, and we are using this to drop the critical hit damage. So this is going to help you get most of that back plus more. And last up, though not exclusive to Gley and Massacre, we do have our restored Relic to break the weak points on Ice Maiden. We will not be using this on any other Colossus, but Ice Maiden to break the weak points and get the skill power buff. And that covers everything for this updated Gley build guide. Any questions or suggestions about the builds, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe is appreciated. As I said, look forward to many updated Descendant build guides coming this month. Thanks, guys. Peace.